Hello, hello, hello. I hope you guys are all doing well today. We're going to be reading chapter 5 of King Solomon's Mines. Chapter 5 is called Solomon's Road. So, in chapter 4, Crossing the Mountains, basically, our characters made their way out of the desert, they found some water, and they ended up in a little cave. They found like some snow and they ended up in a cave. And when they woke up, one of their friends was dead, but not only that, but they found another dead man in the cave. And that is where we left off. Okay. Page 65. Chapter 5 Solomon's Road. The sight of the corpse was too much for us. We all scrambled out of that cave as fast as our legs would carry us. Then we halted, feeling rather foolish to be afraid of a dead man. "I'm going back," Sir Henry said. "That was the corpse of a man. It could be my brother." We all crawled back inside. Sir Henry moved toward the dead man and peered into his face. "Thank God, it's not my brother." I looked at the corpse myself. It had gray hair and a mustache. It was naked. Around the neck hung an ivory crucifix. "I know who it is," Captain Good said, looking over my shoulder. "Who?" I asked. "Old Jose Silvestre, of course." "Impossible," I said. "He died 300 years ago." "The cold air preserved his body," Good said. "There are no wild animals here to eat him. No doubt his servant found him dead and took his clothes for warmth. Look, here is the sharp bone they used to draw the map." "And there's a wound on his arm," Sir Henry said. That's where he drew blood to use as ink." Ugh. It was set to imagine the lonely death of the ancient explorer. "We will leave him a companion," Sir Henry said. We moved the body of Ventvogel to the back of the cave and placed it near that of the old Portuguese gentleman. We went out into the snow, glad of the sunshine, but still faint with hunger and cold. And here's a picture. The caption is, "I know who it is." 3 men and I'm guessing Umbato or whatever, looking at the body. You can barely see the face of the corpse, which is Jose Silvestre. We began to move down the mountain. We couldn't see anything up ahead because of the heavy fog that covered the slope. Finally, we broke out of the mist and saw, at the end of a long stretch of snow, a patch of green. A stream was running through the grass. As the mist cleared, we could look on the entire scene. I've never seen anything like what lay before us. 500 feet below where we were lay expanses of fertile land. To our left was grassland. We could make out many herds of game or cattle wandering there. This territory was ringed by a wall of distant mountains. To our right was an area of rolling hills. There we could see groups of dome-shaped huts. "Doesn't that map mention Solomon's Great Road?" Sir Henry asked. I nodded. "There it is," he said, pointing a little to our right. Captain Good and I looked. There, winding across the plain, was a wide road. How strange. Oh. How strange to find what looked like a proper Roman road right in the middle of this wilderness. The caption for this one is, "We could see groups of dome-shaped huts." It's actually a kind of a beautiful picture. I'd love to see it in color. We climbed down the mountain to the right, and soon we stood with the road at our feet. It had been cut out of solid rock and was at least 50 feet wide. Someone had kept it up very well. The odd thing was it seemed to begin there, right in the middle of nowhere. "What do you make of it, Quatermain?" Sir Henry asked. I shook my head. It was a mystery. "I know," Good said. This road once ran right over the mountains and across the desert, but a volcanic eruption has covered it with lava. On the other side, the sand drifted over it. It was very much more pleasant traveling downhill on this magnificent road with our stomachs full than it was struggling uphill over snow, starved and half frozen. We grew cheerful. This was quite a road. When it came to a deep ravine, it passed over smoothly on a bridge of cut stones. At another spot, it zigzagged down a cliff. At a third point, it passed through a high ridge by way of a tunnel. Inside the walls of this tunnel, we could see carvings of figures driving chariots. These appear to be the work of Egyptians, Sir Henry said. Perhaps they were here even before Solomon's time. All morning we walked along down the mountain. By noon we had come to an area where lovely silver trees grew along the road. There's a lot of wood here, Good said. Let's stop and cook some dinner. We all agreed to this eagerly. We left the road and found a small stream. We collected some dry wood and soon had a nice fire burning. We cut off pieces of the antelope meat we had brought and roasted them over the fire on the ends of sharp sticks. We ate hungrily and sat down to rest. The stream flowed gently beside us. After all we had been through, this was like paradise. This was like paradise. Captain Good took a bath in the stream. Now he was in his underwear, brushing out his clothes. He polished his boots with a piece of fat from the antelope. Next, he produced a small mirror from his... Oh, you guys don't even see the book. Of course, I'm going to have this in the video now. Still, I don't know how I did this before. Alright. I'm not sure where I was. Next, he produced a small mirror from his bag and looked at himself over. He combed his hair very carefully. Then he felt the 10 days beard on his chin. Surely, I thought, he's not going to try and shave. But he was. He washed his face and scrubbed it with the fat. Then he produced a small razor and began to scrape at his whiskers. It was a painful process, but he soon cleaned off the right side of his face. Suddenly I saw a flash of light sail past his head. He and I both started in surprise. A group of men stood 20 paces beyond Good. They were very tall and wore great plumes of black feathers and cloaks of leopard skin. A younger man of 17 was in front of them. He had thrown a shining knife that barely missed Good. And there's a picture for this with the caption, 20 paces beyond Good. You can see the men behind him. An older man who looked like a soldier caught the boy by the arm and said something to him. They came closer. Sir Henry, Captain Good, and Umbopa had by this time grabbed their rifles and stood ready to shoot. The strange men came on, showing no concern. I realized they didn't know what rifles were, or they would have been more careful. Put down your guns, I shouted. I knew that our only hope was to make peace with them. I spoke to the older man. Greetings, I said in Zulu, not knowing what language to use. Greetings, he replied in an old-fashioned form of Zulu. Where do you come from? Why are 3 of you white and the 4th like us? He pointed at Umbopa. It was true that Umbopa's size and looks were similar to those of the men before us. We are strangers from across the mountains, I said. We come in peace. You lie, he answered. No one can cross the mountains, where all things die. No strangers may live in the land of Kukulkwana. It is the king's law. Prepare to die, strangers. And I had put down your guns as the caption for this picture. The hands of each of the men went toward large and heavy knives they wore at their sides. "What does he say?" Captain Good asked me. "He says we're about to be killed," I answered. I looked around. There was no way out. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so this was a pretty crazy chapter. Sorry for the stuff towards the end where I was trying to fix the camera or the phone, whatever. And so yeah, pretty much what we did is we got out of the cave, and after realizing that the dead man was Jose Silvestre, and then we made our way downward, it seems like, which I thought was interesting, into like this nice green area. We saw the Solomon Road, and we saw the kind of like some huts or whatever, and the men came, and now they're threatening to kill us because they said no one belongs there. All right, well, I'll see you next time for Chapter 6. We enter Kukuquana Land, and I hope you have a good night. Thank you.